Thanks for joining the channel again today. I am genuinely excited to be able to talk about our topic today. I'm trying something new, kind of doing an early morning recording here. We'll see how that goes, but I think I'm awake enough, and I think it'll go okay. But today we're going to talk about the number one cause for marital problems from a biblical perspective. I think from every marital perspective, but this is it. So let's just get started. For the longest time, I have been reading books on relationships, marriage, long before I got married. I think when I first became a Christian, I started understanding, or God gave me the understanding, the importance of relationships. So because I wanted to have a good relationship, I started reading relational and marriage books very early. Let's go this route. When Laurie and I were dating, she was working in Denver. I was going to school in Estes Park. And so we'd meet in Boulder. And I think every time we'd get together, it was always the same thing. We'd meet at a bagel shop. We didn't have any money. So we'd buy a couple of bagels and we'd read through a couple of chapters of books on marriage and just talk through it. And then we'd go to this dollar theater. That's just what we'd do. But then even after we got married, we'd continue to work through highly recommended books and manuals on marriage. But the problem was they never helped. And when you're struggling in marriage and don't have any money, taking the time, effort, energy to work through what these books are telling you to work through, and they don't work, what it does is it made Laurie and I think that our marriage was worse than what it was. Now, our marriage was bad. Like I'm always going to say, Laurie and I got a divorce. We were divorced for 7 years. Then God miraculously brought us back together. That's one of the main reasons I'm doing this channel with this emphasis, because I understand the pain of divorce. I understand the damage it causes. And I think God is directing me to try to help Christian husbands either improve or restore their marriage. But when these things didn't work, it just made it, both Laurie and I, feel like we were more broken than what we were. It kind of sucked away our hope. And the problem with so many of these books is they all seem to focus on superficial techniques. What I call low-hanging fruit instead of the root, R-O-O-T. That's considered like a tree. The root. They never address the problem. Things that you can get excited about, like a fantastic book, The 5 Love Languages, fantastic book, but it's superficial fruit. It's not the root. Improving communication. Better sex starts in the kitchen. Or many of the books that we read said that the main problem was because of our parents. The relationship they had, what they modeled to us. Again, superficial, low-hanging fruit, but not the root. Nothing we read and worked through helped. None of the resources that we looked at dealt with the main problem we're going to look at today. The main problems that Laurie and I had, there's a very good chance that it's the same problems that you and your wife are having. Um, for me, it was my anger and harshness. I was cruel, I was demeaning, I was belittling. And then Laurie um, had significant issues with attempting to control me and with disrespect. And this is very, very common in marriages today. The problem is that so many people talk about these, superficial scenarios. Um, and so these were our problems. There's a really good chance they're your problems too. It wasn't until God showed us um, Genesis chapter 3. This is where the marriage problems start. Um, and in this chapter, God pronounces a curse on Adam and Eve because of their disobedience. And everybody knows the story. He said not to eat from this tree. Um, Eve listened to the snake, Satan. He tricked her. Uh, she ate the fruit. And then Adam ate the fruit as well. The problem is that too many and many Christians are ignoring what took place in Genesis 3, or possibly they don't know about it. And then the majority of non Christians, those who don't have the Holy Spirit living inside of them, don't know anything about it. They know that they're having problems in their marriage, but they don't know where they're coming from. And the reason this is important is the why is always more important than the what in anything. Why something is happening is far more important than what's happening. For the most part, anyone, it doesn't take insight, it doesn't take wisdom, it doesn't take God incited experience to observe what's going on. But it does take God's insight to understand why something is happening, and that's what we're looking at today. I'm just going to read this because this is important. What we don't know or choose to ignore can hurt us. I know you've heard that before, but it's going to be true in our marriages as well. And in this case, be a massive, come up with this sad phrase, the cause of so many irreconcilable differences. So this is one of those things that is unbelievably important. There's no way I'm going to be able to verbalize how important this is. Verse 16 says, because of Eve's disobedience, what used to be her default of being obedient and respectful to Adam, now her default would be disrespect and wanting to control Adam because of the curse. Likewise, in the same verse, Adam initially, before the curse, he had a desire to respect, be kind to, and love his wife. After the curse, because he gave away his leadership role. We're going to look at this most likely next installment or in the next recording. He gave away his leadership role in their marriage, and he listened to Eve instead of obeying God, and that's what got him in trouble. So now again, he used to be kind and gentle and loving to Eve. Now, because of the curse, his default would be uh, to be harsh, cruel, and self centered in the way he performed what we're going to look at next time, his headship role that God had given him. For us, Genesis 3 was a game changer. Before, like I said, when you don't know why something is happening, it's not just that you don't know, you end up getting frustrated. For me, it was much easier to get angry and lose my temper because I was confused and scared. But when you know what's going on and why it's happening, it gives you the ability, God gives the ability to be more patient, kind, and forgiving. And that's what happened for Laurie and I. It just made it easier to understand why she was behaving the way she was behaving. And then it gave me the ability to not behave the way I had been behaving. And so then it made it easier to understand. It made it easier to talk through because we knew what to talk through. Um, I didn't I didn't have to be angry, um, as we're going to see next installment. Um, we now have been, Laurie and I have been forgiven. God has given us His grace. We don't have to be enslaved to the curse because we're no longer under the law. Romans 5 tells us that. And we were free to listen to each other and even encourage each other to say, hey, um, we don't have to be this way anymore. And it was a huge game changer for us. We knew from a concrete perspective where our problems were coming from now. Um, it wasn't about our past. It wasn't about personality differences, and it certainly wasn't about our parents anymore. It was about Genesis 3. So I think I've covered everything. Um, it really wasn't about all those superficial techniques. It was about the curse that God pronounced on Adam and Eve. Yeah, I think I'm just going to read this. Now that we understood where our problems were coming from, we needed some guidance to help us biblically work through the marital repercussions of the curse. So God showed us where it was coming from, why it was happening, but now we needed some biblical instruction on how to work through it. And He showed us that in Ephesians 5. So that's what we're going to look at next time. So as always, dare to hope, no matter where you're at in your marriage, or even if you've lost it, there's hope. God's loving kindness is new every single morning, and what's impossible for us is a walk in the park for Him. God did it for us. I can't guarantee that He will do it for you, but I know that He can. Okay? So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.